Now, things have not been smooth sailing, to say the least. As you can see in my other videos, I did have some issues with water quality, but I think, it all got sorted. This kind of update here is not all set at one time. It's kind of a mixture from a few months ago leading up to now. But as you can see, this was kind of a few months ago. All the fish were really happy. The water clarity, this is before it sort of went downhill, looked quite good. Even had some chasing. We got a male there that's the more white Joaquin goldfish and the large female. I mean, there was loads of chasing going on, which is really good because next year I'm hoping to do a little bit of sort of breeding and try and raise some fry. But you can see there the males. These are all the fish I got from Westview Fancies. I got myself a nice Acer, which you might have seen in my previous videos, all grown well. And you can tell there that's an old shot because of the pump, actually, if you've seen my other videos. But yeah, everything looking good. I would now and again pop outside and the plants are kind of growing up, reaching the surface. Also, the lily was doing something not great. The algae on the wall, the blanket weed, I sort of solved that using this. I thought it was a really good product, actually. It worked well. But so you're probably wondering why I'm carrying a basket. I basically saw that I had lots of breeding action happening, and to the point where I was really stressing out the large female. I could see that she was being chased continuously. I was finding eggs on plants, which was a really good sign, but I was a bit worried about the health of this female. She's just constantly being chased to the point where I think you can see later on scales are being lost, that kind of thing. So I got this basket. I went to the shops really quickly, got this basket just in case, just in case I need to make a sort of a floating area for her to stay in. And like I said before, eggs everywhere underneath here as well, and this was hopefully doing the job. I planted these plants in that basket so all the roots would ideally come through and start removing some of the nitrates from the water. So it's doing its job, which is all good. So yeah, at the moment, obviously that's a nice pond. Normal things are going on. And it was like that for a while. Things ticked along nicely. The lily didn't do much, just sort of gradually died and grew a little bit, but it was all fine. It was all looking good. This was a while ago, remember? So I decided that I would sort of just monitor things, see how it went. I didn't put her in the basket straight away, but I could see that she'd been beaten up a bit. So I did want to have a little look and see the extent of the damage. I heard that it's not a good thing if fish can't release their eggs. That's obviously important. So I didn't want to have to hand spawn, really. So I thought if I leave her in there, if she's doing okay, she might lose a couple of scales, but she's not going to be, she's not going to it's not going to be really detrimental to her health. But I do have a quick look here, and you can sort of see on one side when I move my thumb in a minute. So I did check for eggs. It seemed at that moment in time there wasn't any. They probably just all gone on those plants that I showed you before. I didn't notice it at the time. Eyes here were looking a little bit bulgy, and I just put that down to, I didn't really notice it, to be honest, at the time. I just noticed the scales, which is what made me net her. I don't usually net fish. I usually catch them with my hands if I can. I don't handle them very much as well. I know that's not good for them, but I just wanted to check out this damage. And you might be able to see there sort of some scales missing. Nothing incredibly bad, but you can see there actually she's been scraped, she's been hit against something, but she's still swimming okay. So I was happy to leave her in there for now. Obviously, as soon as I put her back, some more chasing. That nice male with kind of more white on it, and a really unique markings, actually. Both those from Westview Fancies. I was really happy with those fish. So hoping that I could get some spawn maybe next year, but then this happened. 3 days later, it all went wrong very quickly. That male that I showed you in the last clip, he passed away. I went to the bottom of the pond. I looked at the bottom of the pond. One day it was lethargic, and the next day, well, that was it. It wasn't moving at all, so I was absolutely gutted. Couldn't believe it. Such a unique fish as well. So I thought, well, I've got to do something. The female's been beaten up a bit. A fish has died, which is my first one. I'm going to do some treatment on the whole pond. So I found this fungus treatment, which I thought it potentially could be the way that the body had swelled slightly of the male that I saw. So I treated the pond. After spending ages getting the pond to be not green because of my UV sterilizer, I then had to, so this is a bit more up to date now, so then I had to basically treat the pond with this liquid and turned everything green. I turned the sterilizer off, so that was sitting there being unused because that's what it said on the instructions. But I did several treatments in the pond, gradually let things go a little bit around the edges. Yeah, so the first lot of videos I showed you was earlier on in the summer, and then it was when that fish passed away that I had to sort of take some action, and it's more recently. It's got the new filter on there, so it was filtering fine. I mean, maybe it was something to do with you can see all the eggs there actually from all the chasing, which is good for next year, but I'm thinking maybe it was something to do with the filter not being up to standard, the old filter. Maybe it was just something that the fish had in them. I've heard there's diseases that lay dormant, that kind of thing. So, I'm not going to know, but I'm just going to try and do everything I can to make sure no other fish are lost, really. So, as we can see, yeah, loads of eggs, all good. I mean, I kept treating the pond over and over again. I can't remember the exact dosage. You'd have to look it up for that. But I just followed the instructions to the T on the back of the packet. Made sure that I followed all the instructions properly. Now, it was slightly annoying because I had just spent ages sorting the filter out and trying to turn the pond not green, and then I had to basically make it green. It didn't last too long, the treatment, and I knew I was doing the best I could. I hoped I was doing the best I could. But yeah, that was where we were, really. Not the best situation. I was gutted that I'd lost that other fish because it had such unique markings, and I was really pleased. One of the reasons I used the treatment I did as well, because I noticed on the side of the fish, the female, when it had been knocked, it had this kind of white, sort of cotton wool-like, I guess fungus is what I thought it could be. Then you can see that properly there. I just did a freeze frame, but that was one of the things. Now, by this point, the pond had some new plants in it. It's the summer. Well, it was the summer. So I popped some floating plants in it, and the filter had been running for a while. And so I think whatever problems I was having was kind of legacy from before, when I had those problems one after the other. And I think I was hoping this is the last thing that I can sort of try and sort out. The fish maybe sort of, the water clarity wasn't the best. The water wasn't the best, and now by improving it and treating the fish, I'm hoping moving forward everything can look good. On a side note, I did have lots of snails eating my plants, and the lily had grown a little bit. I raised it up on some bricks, which I should have done to begin with, but give it some more light, get those leaves closer to the water. Now and again I'd brush the algae off them as well, if any settled on it. And I did start to notice the female looked a little bit rounder, and I did question whether it was eggs or whether it was some, other issues that I've heard about and experienced. I kept a Tyrannshu about 6 years ago in an aquarium, so it's my first pond, but I have kept goldfish before. Arandas as well, kept arandas for a while, but some of the plants are doing what they're supposed to, taking up the nutrients, even flowering, which I thought was a good sign. And the fish were eating some of the other plants as well, which is fine. I don't mind that. Bit of grazing, natural behaviour. So the treatment continued. And I don't know if any of you have used this stuff before, whether you recommend it be any good or not, but it was what I thought would be the best suited for this situation. Got the Ranchu and the Joaquin all in there together. You can see at the moment, until the new pond's built. I'm going to be building that new pond soon. But there she is again, and I can tell by then she's swelling up. She's looking a bit too big, and I don't think it's just eggs. I kept monitoring her. I'd lost that male. I really didn't want to lose her. She's one of my favourite fish, and to be fair, one of my only females. But I kept monitoring that little cotton wool-like fungus. Had another look at her, brought her up, and it had gone a dark colour. It hadn't spread too much as far as I could see, but it had definitely gone a darker colour, and the eyes looked slightly like they were protruding, which is all basically signs of dropsy. So if you can see there, that's what potentially she was going to develop. Eyes are bulging there, you can definitely see that from above. And like I say, I wasn't willing to give up. Wanted to make sure I could save this fish. I was absolutely gutted about the other one. She's a lovely fish. Sort of reverse tancho mark on her head, which makes her slightly unique. So all I could do was keep tricking the water and keep checking her, doing the best I can. But you can see it there, and a close-up on the eyes. So water's very green by this point, because it's been treated, the UV's been turned off. You can see how as much she's swollen up on her back. If I turn her over. So she's still got energy. Not like the other one that ended up on the bottom of the pond, lethargic, for very quickly going downhill. But she's definitely got bigger. So I just kept treating as much as I could and monitoring. And this is where it really started to look it was definitely dropsy. I've got the scales sticking out. The scales are sticking out there. Not pine coning completely, but in my opinion, that looks like dropsy, and I know that it can be deadly. So feeling really gutted about the whole thing. Problem after problem, thought I'd sorted it out. And we've got this situation now. Yeah. The other thing was, I was just about to go away. So I was going to go on holiday, just for a few days, but I know how quickly things can go downhill because of the other male. Seeing what happened to the other male. So I just made sure I did a treatment before we went. That's really all I could do. I think dropsy is something to do with water retention in the body. So that's what I've heard. It could be a damaged organ. You can do salt baths as well. But like I say, because I was about to go away, and I guess I was not sure what it was until quite late on, really, before I was about to go away. I didn't do a salt bath. I also didn't really have any particularly good, thing to store the fish in. So I went away, just some camping, just stayed in the UK, but went away for a few days. And obviously saw loads of cows. That's what you do when you go on holiday. Well, that's where I went. And every time I saw the milk cows, every time I saw them in the field, it would make me think of ranchu. Milk cow ranchus. So thought I'd put a couple of clips of those in as well. Still thinking about goldfish when I'm away on holiday. Brilliant. I wanted to come back to a healthy pond. I did. I came back to a pond and she was fine. You can see how slender the body is now. And I was incredibly happy. I picked her up, had a little examine, gone down completely. I didn't see any ill side effects. I mean, the eyes could be classed as slightly protruding still, but she's always had it slightly like that, but much more elongated body. Her colour looks better. I was over the moon, to be honest with you, after getting back. I thought I was going to find a dead fish on the floor. So, I think we're back to a good situation. Carried on with some regular feeding, trying out some of Adam Luck's food there, Lucky's Ranchu. I got Tetra Gold, I always have some of that just in case. And a bag of, not sure what that other bag is, but yeah, things were looking good. So I think we're onwards and upwards, and I'm going to extend the pond very soon. I'm actually working on it now, so it could be the next video, is me making sure I've finished that Ranchu pond. But she's looking well, and I think I can finally say all is positive.